Hello everyone, there will be no substantive plot spoilers in this video if you haven't yet seen the movie The Last Jedi. This is LEGO's Defense of Crait set, which features items and settings that are very heavily featured in the official trailers to the movie. I'm actually surprised that LEGO put so much effort into making such a large-scale version of this craft, the so-called Crait speeder, which is actually almost minifig scaled, almost accurately scaled to minifigs the way that they've done it. I think they could have made it half this size and it still would have been a fun build and a fun thing to play with. It would have looked good, but this is even better. The level of detail is consistently very high for something that's intended to be a toy and not a collector's display item. It looks very good from multiple camera angles. It does have a handful of blue Technic connector pieces that are locked to that color and just will not be made in other colors anymore, at least not anytime soon, but they don't detract too much from the overall appearance. I think that the color scheme is nailed pretty well here. It looks good from a distance and up close with good contrast, good texture, changes of shapes, changes of direction. Many interesting building techniques used, for sure, some that I think I haven't seen before, and they definitely dipped into the very latest amongst the parts that are available in the LEGO inventory. The unique keel-like center skid that is prominently shown in the trailers is there, and it just comes down on its own. It's just gravity fed, doesn't have any mechanism behind it whatsoever. You can't retract it when it's in the air, but unfortunately, they give you no actual stand for this set, so there's no way to actually make it stay up, to put it in that standard pose that's kind of been imprinted on my brain. I always want to see this thing up, either at an angle, banking into a turn, or even just completely level and just flying straight and true. So that's unfortunate that they didn't include just a couple of clear pieces to put at a balance point that would hold this up on display very nicely. The surface of the exterior uses a mix of color changes, shape changes, and stickers. That right there is a single print, but most of the decorations you see here are stickers, even one on the inside of the cab unit there. And then this is a printed Speed Champions style windscreen piece. You can just pull all that off, and it has a really nice, though small, interior for the cockpit area with the dual handle flight yoke there that he can almost reach, and stickers used on the side consoles and a printed piece used in front of him. Also has a nice looking seat that has a little bit of texture on the back of it, and yeah, it's actually even able to fold down. There's nothing behind there. It would have been really nice to have just a small little storage compartment or something back there, but that's okay. They do actually give you a single clip extra one on the underside if you want to use that for your figure's personal weapon. There is an expertly hidden compartment here though. This center section has an opening mechanism that's almost like one of those Chinese puzzle boxes. It's beautifully disguised. Unfortunately though, this is just a little maintenance hatch. It exposes some of the very valuable gunmetal gray colored stud pieces that go into this thing, but there's no space to really place anything in there though. And then there's this sort of side build, which is actually pretty substantive itself. It's very miniaturized, but the shapes are pretty good. This is a 3-layer or 3-level bunker, so you can put figures at the ground level, this middle level here, and also up on the mezzanine as an overlook, though you don't really have much cover from up there. Just a small, basically anti-personnel cannon emplacement there with the stud shooter, and that can be moved around. It can also be actually placed in the hands of the figure. I just didn't move the hands around to make them fit properly. And then another cannon, a larger one here, which can spin around, and that has a spring-loaded shooter down below that you can operate from the back. Again, shaping is pretty good. It's just very miniaturized here, and this piece of the build, or this portion of the build, can be rotated around in different ways. So if you want to kind of shape your battlefield a little bit, you can. You can also very easily remove these sections or separate them apart, so you can make things look even bigger by separating things out farther. Just a little bit of extra separation really makes it look like a larger overall defensive position. One unfortunate thing is that you can't change the elevation of the shooter over here, and that goes for the fake part, that's just for show, and also the actual spring-loaded shooter down below. So it's always going to fire just straight forward at a very, very low level, basically at minifig level. The bunker or tower build has a lot of studs on the side construction to finish off the exterior texturing, and that looks very nice. It has some shaping around the edges. And then this middle level has 2 printed pieces in there. I never would have expected that upper panel piece to be done as a print, but I'm very thankful for it. It looks great. It looks like something that I would want to mass if I was building up a whole custom base. Not even just Star Wars related, but for anything kind of sci-fi related. It looks really good. The sticker sheet in this set does not have clear backing, so that really couldn't have been pulled off with a sticker, so I'm glad they went all out, so to speak, to actually do a proper print there, and it looks good. It's also done practically edge to edge. You get some storage down here for some minifig accessories with the gunmetal gray colored blasters off on the right, and just a couple of tools, as well as a couple of spare bolts for your spring-loaded shooter. Here's how the rest of the stuff looks from the back, and that just does it for the builds. Here are the Resistance figures with Poe Dameron on the left with his dual molded specialized hairpiece that has the integrated headset that's also printed on both sides and across the top. The base color for the hair is black, but then they used gunmetal gray for the headset portion of that. That's nicely executed. In the center is Admiral Emmett with his epically white hair and also white and gray facial hair. I think they could have done that all in white, but this adds a little bit more texture to it. I think that one looks pretty good. Glad to get that as an official figure. And on the right is just a generic Resistance trooper with the full helmet with the visor and chin guard as well. You get more of the gunmetal gray colored blasters. That's for the one in the center, and on the right, the one on the left, the short one for Poe, is just done in black. And only 2 of these actually get alternate faces. Oh well, there's a better look at the main face for the trooper especially. On the First Order side, we get 2 of their snow troopers. I think these are very good figures for Lego scaled stuff. The prints are good through and through the body down to the legs. The helmets I think have good sculpts, and the prints on those helmets are good. Each one comes with the cloth piece, each one comes with the printed backpack piece, and they didn't strip one of them down to give you just a basic version and then a version that has the stuff that you really want. So I appreciate that. They could have gone a cheaper route, but they didn't. These are just very massable. It's easy to get lots of these and set up a nice larger scene. The only problem that I have here is that these do not belong in this set. They have no business being here. They had nothing to do with this scene, and I don't blame Lego for that. I'm sure this is just another common example of Lego just not getting enough information from Disney early on when they're actually starting to plan the process of developing the toys, and that's just unfortunate. It results in mistakes. Fortunately, this is not a bad mistake because these are still good figures, still good to get, but they could have put more appropriate ones in here if they knew better. As for the faces, well, yeah. Now to sum things up and give you more of my pure subjective opinion about this set. The speeder, no question about it, it's great. I really, really strongly feel that it's better than it needed to be, and that's not intended to be a spoiler. These things do get screen time in the movie, as you saw in the trailer. There's no misdirection there, but I just feel like they've gone so large with this thing. It's almost like they were going replica style with it. I feel like they could have made this a much smaller and less expensive set. Speaking of which, I feel like this needs to be a less expensive set. The little side builds, this is nice. It could have been bigger, but it's nice for what it is. This is kind of meh to me. It's kind of a mix of things. They tried to bring in some important shapes and give you some play value there, but it's not all that great to me. And just because of the size of the speeder, I feel like it makes this stuff smaller, or feel and seem smaller. I think this really would have worked in so many ways so much better if the speeder was about half this size, or maybe 2/3 this size at the most. I also don't think overall the minifig selection is that memorable. I don't think this version of Poe is going to be very collectible long term. It's always good to get more troopers just in general for, you know, massing up bigger scenes. Certainly the Admiral Emmett figure is the most interesting thing in this set to me from a collectability perspective, but it's definitely not enough to make this worth its retail price, in my opinion. So it's not a bad set overall. I just feel like it has a limited number of very strong elements, and those elements are not worth the retail price. This is one that I would recommend waiting to find at a fairly significant discount, so not a 5 or 10% discount, but more of like a 25 to 30% discount. Then it'll start to be a little bit more attractive. But just at its standard price, I don't think it's a good value. You can get a lot more play value out of other stuff for the same price, and you can get more display value and lasting collectability out of other things as well. But that's it for my look at this set. Hope I showed you everything you wanted to see here, and I'm going to get to work on my next video, so I'll talk to you again as soon as I can.